What's up, everybody? Welcome to Narco Cop MMA. This is the Lambo Plays podcast, episode number 20. It's UFC 273. It's an awesome card. It's Alexander Volkanovski versus the Korean Zombie. It is Aljamain Sterling versus Peter Yan, and it is the return of the Crusher Kazmat Chimaev against Gilbert Burns. Man, it's a great card. I have some awesome guests. I mean, I can't wait to throw these Lambo plays out. I mean, it's going to be one hell of a show. Chad's already in the house. What's up, Chad? Lou is also in here. What's up, Lou? Daz, what's up, Daz? Nick, Uncle Weezy, Luke, thank you, each and every one of you, for being in here. But without further ado, let me introduce my co-host. It is none other than Tim Troiano. What's up, Tim? Are you ready for this banger of a card?
So excited for this card. It's card of the year for sure.
Dude, week off, and we come back to this. I mean, it's got to be like a day before Christmas, man. I don't know what it is, but
I was hoping
for this card.
I was hoping you might shave the mustache and go full Kazmat.
You know what?
Support.
You know what? I had the longer beard going here, and I shaved it because I don't know what. I kind of messed it up, so I had to shave it, to be honest. But let me introduce my special guest here. It is none other than DFS by the numbers, Brady. What's up, Brady?
What is up?
Are you ready for this UFC 273 card?
I'm so ready, dude. Like, I watch this show every Friday when I'm working out, so it's gonna be fun to give some Lambo plays of my own. It's a great show, great concept. I'm looking forward to it.
Dude, love having you. I love being on your show. Best Bets. It's tomorrow. It's an awesome show also. So, yeah, man, I'm glad you're here.
Let's do it.
Then let me introduce my other guest here, none other than diehard MMA Clint. What's up, Clint? Thank you for being here with us. Are you ready for this UFC 273 card?
Hell yeah, man. This is a great card. Absolutely stacked. I love some of these undercard spots. Like, if nothing else, not even for gambling, like, this card is just going to be fun. I think there's going to be a lot of violence, some interesting fights, and excited to be on the Lambo Plays podcast. So thank you for the invite.
Excited to have you. But the one thing, I mean, this card is stacked, but I don't think it's stacked more than this panel is right here. I think this panel is a little more stacked than this card is. But yeah, George is in the house. What's up, George? This guy is Mr. Narrative Nation. That's who's in the house. Narrative Nation's in the house. The SAR is also here. So yeah, man. Let's just move on and go ahead with this card because we got, I think, 12 fights now because we lost one. But yeah, first fight of the night. It is Julio Arce going up against Daniel Santos. We will kick this one off to you, Tim. What do you have here as your Lambo play?
Man, I'm going back and forth. I think this can not go the distance. I think there's going to be a finish in this fight. And I was leaning Arce up until I saw the weigh-ins, and then I got a little bit scared on the weigh-ins today. But I usually don't let that make me swing my decision, so I'm not going to let it do it this time. But I don't mind anybody taking the shot on KO for Santos. But I'm going to take the Arce by KO at plus 500.
All right. Arce by KO plus 500. Yeah, he looked a little shaky there on the scales this morning. But Brady, what is your Lambo play here?
Yeah, this is kind of a tough one because we don't know a ton about Santos. I know that he trains at the same gym as Charles Oliveira. He has not fought in 2 years and 4 months, which, I mean, that could be a good thing or it could be a bad thing. Like, has he improved over those 2 years? And yeah, like Tim said, Arce did not look great on the scales. I think this fight finishes as well. I think there's some value on the fight doesn't go and like the fight ends in KO. I'm actually going with Santos to win by KO. This guy has a ton of power. I've seen him knock out multiple guys with that spinning back kick to the body. I'll take the newcomer KO plus 500. I think someone's getting finished though for sure.
So we got a KO on Santos and a KO on Arce. I love it. They see violence here. Clint, do you see any violence here?
It's tough, man. I did see violence on this one. I think there's some definite high upside for some finishing ability. We've seen Julio Arce kind of crank up the intensity over the course of a fight, get people out of there in rounds 2 and rounds 3. This is a big test for the new kid. You don't just step into the UFC and take on somebody like Julio Arce. The way he, comes forward aggressively, cuts the cage off, stays in your face, like I think that's going to force the issue. So yeah, I think there's a good chance that somebody probably goes to sleep, but I think Julio Arce's footwork is so slick, man. He's going to play the outside, try to keep the range and stay away. Trying to get a little creative here from my Lambo. I'll say Julio round 3, 14-1. I think it takes him a while to chip away at the kid. Kid gets a little desperate, eats some leg kicks, and then boom, head kick right at the end.
Any concern for you with that weigh-in?
Definitely. But one thing I love about these big pay-per-view cards is that we get the ceremonial face-offs afterward. So he looked awful on the scales. He looked fine at the ceremonial weigh-ins. And I think one thing that people don't realize is that the weight cut is not always the problem. Rehydrating is sometimes more important than the bad weight cut. So if you have a rough weight cut and you hydrate properly, you can still fight just fine. The way he filled back up, the way he was moving around up there, honestly, I'm not as concerned as I would have been if we didn't get that delay. If they had them face off right after seeing him on the scales, I definitely would have been in the Fatum camp because it was a rough weight cut.
Great point with the rehydration process. Yeah, he didn't look very bad at face-offs. He looked fine. He looked super bad at weigh-ins, but basically somebody came running up to hold him up because he was tipping back at one point when they brought in the curtain. But yeah, so initially I had violence here. I had added on violence here because the way this Willie Cat guy Santos fights is hectic, a lot of spinning shit, a lot of power. The guy is good. I mean, good striking. I really like his striking ability. He has his hands up. But it's a huge step up, man. Julio Arce is a technician on the feet. Very, very good striker. The one thing here is, like I said, I had violence and I still do have violence because I added to it. But I do see a pretty close fight here. I mean, I started to lean that this fight might go to decision here after betting the violence bets. And, after rewatching some more tape, the bigger cage is the concern I have, why I think, Julio Arce's movement, might stay away from this guy and just kind of like chip away at him. And to be honest, this guy has a chin. I mean, he's been caught in the regionals and he seems to show a really good chin. So what I went with here as my Lambo plays, because I do think this fight is going to be close, and I do think the guy pressuring forward is going to be Santos. So I went by split decision here at plus 750 on Arce and plus 1400 on Santos, because I do believe this fight is going to be close. However, I also do have a bet on fight doesn't go to decision at plus 130. But like I said, I had also an under. So I kind of hedged out of that under, and I just kept my 1 unit on the plus 130 fight going to doesn't go to decision. Moving on, we'll move on to fight number 2. It is Piera Rodriguez going up against Kay Hansen. We will kick this one off to Brady. What do you have here, Brady, as your Lambo play?
Yeah, so I'm going Rodriguez as far as a pick. I don't feel overly confident about it, but as far as a Lambo play, like Uncle Weezy's been talking about this all week. I don't know what it is with Hansen in round 3s, but when she's winning in round 3 quite a bit. I see a round 3 win back in 2018, another round 3 win back in 2018, another round 3 win back in 2018. And then another round 3 win back in 2019, and then another round 3 win back in 2020 in her debut against Jin Yu Fry. When she's winning inside the distance, it's in round 3. So we did see Rodriguez slow down a lot in the Contender Series fight. Round 3 Hansen, I think it's going to be very, very live. I personally think that, Rodriguez probably wins this fight, probably wins it by decision, but I think Hansen in round 3 is going to get some opportunities. So plus 1,600 there. Hansen didn't miss weight. I thought she looked good. It was one of those situations where I feel like she didn't try to kill herself to make weight, but yeah, Hansen round 3 plus 1,600. I kind of like that.
She did post, I believe it was Instagram, I can't remember, but she did post that she didn't care about weight cuts, so or disliked them or something of that nature. So it came to fruition because she didn't make weight. So
so take her off the list of people who really enjoy weight cuts.
yeah,
Okay,
take her off.
sure.
That really long list. Clint, what do you got here?
Man, this is a spot where I'm going to get some shit for this. I've gotten shit for it all week. Kay Hansen's one of my most confident picks on this card, man. This is the Dana White Contender Series fade spot. I know we all like Rodriguez. She looked good on the Contender Series. Kind of. I can poke holes in Rodriguez's game, but man, her coach, she hits like a truck. There's men that don't hit as hard as she does, and everyone's on the OnlyFans train, and Kay Hansen doesn't care. She's not even training anymore, man. She's just getting paid from the OnlyFans. Like, all these narratives, I'm like, this is number one bullshit. She has fought a tough level of competition in the UFC. She should have won the McKenna fight. If you go back and look at the media scores on that one, there were only like 2 outlets that scored it for McKenna. Everybody else scored it for her. So everyone's like, she lost to McKenna, bro. No, she didn't. She didn't. It was a bad judging call that night. She should have won that fight. Man, I think she's being severely underrated in this spot. So I've got a big money line bet on Kay Hansen here in this spot from my Lambo play. I completely agree with Brady. I think round 3 is a sweet spot, but I've actually got money on Kay Hansen by submission. You can get plus 475 out there, just shy of that 500 mark that we always try to hit for the Lambo play, but charge me the 25 cents, man. I like Kay Hansen by sub.
Well, I'll give you a nice little gift here. Actually, you went up 175 points because it's plus 300, Clint. So you killed it with that play.
Hey, you can go over to Superbook and they still got it hanging plus 475 there.
Yeah. So honestly, I am on the complete polar opposite play here than Clint. I have a huge bet on Piera Rodriguez. I love what I see from this girl. I mean, here, I'm gonna say something. I had a bet against this girl in Dana White's Contender Series against Machado. I had Machado at a pretty big number. I don't remember the exact number. I think it was like plus 300. It was a very close fight. But, you know, what she's shown me is a lot of grit, a lot of toughness. She has power. Her grappling defense is actually pretty good because when you go and watch the Svetlana fight, Svetlana Gotzik is a really good grappler, a really good wrestler, has very good submissions, and Piera actually out-grappled that girl in that fight. The one thing that, you know, people are mentioning is Piera's cardio, and her cardio is actually really good. The one thing I will say is in the Valeska Machado fight is she fought a fight where she normally doesn't do is shoot a ton of takedowns, which that's the only reason she got tired in that fight is she just went a completely different route of how she fights. She's a striker. And in that fight against Machado, she decided to grapple a lot because Machado herself is a very good striker and has a ton of pop. So me watching this girl, man, I honestly do believe that she has a lot of power in her hands. Her strikes, I mean, you could see even on regional scenes, it's impacting these girls. I mean, you know, even the one where she went to decision against Kyla Haracho, I mean, that girl was busted up, bleeding all over the place, somehow survived that fight. And then when you look at her other wins, I mean, they're all stoppages other than Valeska Machado. So, you know, Kay Hansen, I'm not so sure. You know, I don't understand why she's not making weight. I mean, she's not a big girl. So what's this reasoning that she keeps missing weight or she hates cutting weight? Like, I mean, you're a professional fighter. Should you not be able to make weight here? I mean, she's not a huge girl. It's 115 pounds. I mean, she went up to 125 and then, you know, back down to 115 now. And to be honest, like, I'm not very high on her grappling. Like, I know a lot of people have submission here, but I'll give you a hot take here. Piera Rodriguez, and this is from somebody in Spaces with Tim, stated that she subbed Mackenzie Dern when they were sparring. She took her back and she gave her a rear naked choke. Whatever.
Yeah, it was Dagestani
Poppy, correct. But what I'm saying here is even in the Gotzik fight, who's a good grappler, she was out grappling her. So the girl has some grappling chops. I mean, I'm not going to say she's a high-level grappler, but I don't think Kay Hansen's running her over on the ground, to be honest. So in the stand-up, I favor her in a wide margin. So I love the play. I like Rodriguez by KO here at plus 550. I think she's going to bust up Kay Hansen and eventually stop her. Tim, what do you got here?
Yeah, you know what? It's so interesting because I see 5 or 6 different fights with how this fight could go. I tend to lean that it's going to be that the fight's going to actually go the distance. Not a strong lean, like I said. Like there's so many different ways that this fight could go. And I tend to think that there's going to be some success on both sides. And I think I think there's going to be success from the power for Piera. And I think, like you said, I don't think the grappling's completely that she's dead grappling. And if Dagestani's story is true, obviously that's just a tremendous piece of data if that actually is the case. So I don't mind the K by split at 11-1. And I think you could also do Piera at 8-1 or something like that. It's pretty close, or 7.5-1. And then, as you said, I mean, I took a stab on the Piera sub at 14-1 when I heard that story, just in case it's true. Because if she can sub Mackenzie Dern, there's absolutely no question that she can sub Kay Hansen.
Yeah, Cody Garbrandt knocked out TJ Dillashaw in sparring too. Just saying.
Yeah. I'm not like I said, I'm not taking a lot of credence in that submission, whatever. It's they're sparring and stuff. But I just see on tape that her grappling is not bad. That's all I'm saying is I don't think, and I honestly don't rate Kay Hansen's grappling that high.
Yeah, it's overrated.
It's definitely overrated.
It's definitely overrated. I mean, she gets finishes, but it's not great.
Some people see her. I mean, she goes for takedowns, which I like, but
I can't see. I can't see. It's one of the past. She definitely could sub her. I mean, there's no question about it. And I can see Piera knocking her out. I could see round 3. I could literally see every single one of these things. I'm probably going to bet all of them for lunch money just to do what we do here.
Me and Clint are definitely bumping heads here. He's got big money on Kay Hansen, and I got some big money on Piera Rodriguez. One of us will be happy. One of us will be a little sad, but it is what it is. Moving on, it's fight number 3. It's the old man, Alexei Olenik, going up against Jared Vanderaa. Clint, you have the privilege of kicking this great fight off. What do you got here for your Lambo play?
Man, this is probably the fight that I want the least amount of involvement with on the entire card. I made a case for not one, but both of these guys very recently. And I was going to bet Alexei Olenik against Ilir Latifi. I liked the matchup there. The problem here for me is that Jared Vandeera's got, that black belt that we never actually see. So I think he might be able to survive some of those grappling positions that Alexei catches these guys off guard with. It's crazy, man. I don't know what to do with this one. Alexei Olenik by sub is only plus 220. That's not juicy enough. I mean, if you want to get crazy, Jared Vandeera's takedown defense is ass. And there was that one time that Alexei Olenik actually boxed the face off of Fabricio Verdum. So for funsies, let's go ahead and go Alexei Olenik by decision. That's plus 650.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't mind that bet because I do have a small poke on fight goes to decision because I could see it going there, and it's a huge plus number at plus 290, I believe I got. But the play I'm gonna go with here is that I really like actually is Vanderaa round 3 and decision is plus 330 on DraftKings. I just think he's gonna be the fresher guy in round 3. I'm pretty sure of that. He throws a lot for a heavyweight. Olenik tends to slow down a lot. I mean, the guy's older. I think someone mentioned that Olenik came in 14 pounds heavier than his last fight here. So, which, I mean, I guess that kind of shows that, maybe he didn't take this fight too serious or he didn't do his work enough. But, yeah, I mean, I just see this fight kind of binary. If this gets to the ground, Vanderaa might be in big trouble, to be honest. But the thing that Vanderaa does, he's a big guy, and it's not going to be easy for Olenik to take him down. I do see maybe Olenik winning, a round or two and surviving here. But, yeah, I'm going to go with Vanderaa. Round 3 decision. It's plus 330. I think that's going to be my Lambo play here. Tim, what do you got?
You know what? I got to give you props, man. I didn't see that one at all. I love that. I'm going to jump and tail that one as well with you because I'll tell you what I had. I had KO 2-3 for Jared at plus 440 and I had points at plus 550 and I was going back and forth on him. So I really actually see more of where you're at. I don't get the black belt on Jared. Like, it's kind of like the Bruno Silva black belt after he got like grapple fucked for 12 minutes by Sanchez. Like, it's one of those weird situations. Like, how do these guys get their black belts? I think if Olenik does get him down, I think he's going to sub him, but I don't think it's going to be an easy task. I think he's got like a super heavyweight versus a small heavyweight. He's probably going to be 40 to 50 pounds heavier when he gets in the ring or octagon. So yeah, I like your play as well. I'm gonna tail that one.
All right. Brady, what do you got here for us?
Yeah, it looks like I'm going the complete opposite way. I think Olenik takes him down in the first round and submits him. You guys talk about he's being a black belt. When I first saw he's a black belt a couple like years ago, I like laughed out loud because this is a guy that his ground game's just not good. He's been submitted twice outside the UFC. He has a 20% takedown defense. He's coming in on short notice. He doesn't look prepared for this fight. I think Olenik takes him down in the first round and submits him. This is kind of, it counts as a Lambo play, but this is the worst odds I'm giving out all night. Olenik sub round 1. You can only get it at plus 375. Would like better odds, but I truly believe he takes down Vanderaa and submits him shortly after. So yeah, give me Olenik round 1 sub.
Definitely a Lambo play. It's plus 300 or better. So
you got it
way into that Lambo region, plus 375. Yeah,
not a scooter. Not a scooter.
I think I think Olenik, can get it done if he gets that takedown early. And you're right. I think Vanderaa kind of, not that he looks like he's in shape in any of the weigh-ins, but yeah, it's a late minute fight. So he could definitely not be in tip-top shape here. Moving on. It is fight number 4. It is a Mickey Gall going up against Dana White Contender Series debut, Mike Mallot. I can kick this one off. Honestly, I like Gall here. I have a play on Gall. I don't understand why this dude is minus, 200 at this point. I bet him on Dana White's Contender Series. But he's in the 180, 190 range, and I just didn't get it. So, I took a shot on Gall at plus 168, but the one thing I do like, and I don't mind taking a poke on, is Gall by knockout at plus 900. Mickey throws hard. Whether people want to talk shit about this guy, his striking is improving. He throws hard. He actually rocked Moreno in that last fight. If you watch the fight, he rocked him there with an overhand right. Mike Mallot does get hurt in fights. He doesn't have the best chin. The guy has 3 minutes of ring time in 5 years. There's a lot of things going against this guy. So, I'm going to take Mickey Gall here. I think he's faced a better opposition. He's been in the octagon before. You're getting this big plus money number. I know he doesn't have any knockouts, but the guy does throw with a lot of power, and he's a big dude. So, plus 900, I'm going to take that. Mickey Gall plus 900 by KO. Tim, what do you got?
I'm going to go the other way here on this one. I made like 10 units, over 10 units on that Dana White Contender Series fight on Mallot, and got sub round 1, had him like money line everywhere. So I really like this guy, and I know that there's not a lot of tape on him. Obviously, I don't rate Gall very high in a lot of different ways. So I actually think, like, I don't know if it's a hot take or not, but I think like the BJJ on Mallot is better, like almost a lot better. So we'll see. He teaches. He's one of the coaches at Team Alpha Male, and that was the reason why I went on the sub prop, and it was like plus 500. I'm like, why is this line this crazy? And the Dana White Contender Series fight. So I think he kind of has him covered everywhere. The questions on the cardio for both. I'm gonna go. Inside the distance it's only plus 200, so I can't do that. It's too small. But I'm going to take, since I said he's a better BJJ guy than him, I'm going to say that he's going to sub him at plus 390. I like the KO as well at plus 220. It's not juicy enough, but I think that is definitely viable for him as well. But I'll go with the sub at plus 390 for Mallot. He's dating the sister of a guy I work with at my tennis club, so it's pretty cool. I got a little inside information on him.
Oh, so that's why you're betting Mallot.
That's why I got to do it as well. I'm free rolling with this dude. Let's go.
All right, Mallot by submission. Brady, what do you got here?
Yeah, I love violence in this spot. You take a look, 20 of their combined fights, only one time have they won over 1.5 rounds. Only 2 times have they won a fight that went to the second round as well. So I think this fight ends early. I think it ends in the first round. And, Narc, I kind of agree. Gall has a ton of power. He showed it off in the Williams fight, hurting him multiple times. Mallot, not a ton of information about him. He's very inactive throughout his career. Not only do I not mind the Gall KO look at plus 900, but Gall KO round 1 plus 2,000 kind of draws my interest here. I think he can knock him out early.
Wow. I love that play. I think I might take a poke at that. Clint, you are shaking your head. You are raising your eyebrows. What do you have for us here?
I actually kind of agree with the two of you guys. I'm very tempted on Gall, much like Kay Hansen. This is my Dana White Contender Series fade angle, where the guy that looked amazing on the Contender Series coming to the UFC favored over a battle-tested UFC veteran, even though they've been, maybe middling, some wins, some losses. It takes a fight or two for these guys to get acclimated. So I kind of like the Gall side here. Haven't pulled the trigger yet on anything as far as a Lambo play goes. I agree with you guys on the knockout. We've seen Mike Mallot hurt on the feet several times. We know the gas tank is sketchy. Mickey Gall, maybe not the guy I would ever select to have a better gas tank than somebody. He tends to slow down in his fights as well, but his calling card has always kind of been his grappling. So even though I think Mike Mallot probably is a better pure jiu-jitsu player, I think Mickey Gall can do enough to hang in the fight. And if he can just stick around until Mike Mallot gasses out, I think Mickey's got a good chance of winning this thing by KO. So I'll just kind of tail you guys on the KO, but I'd be looking more towards a round 2 myself.
All right. One last tidbit. Gall did this camp in Sanford. So
yes,
take it for whatever it's worth. I'm sure he's getting better training partners. So we will move on. It is fight number 5. It is Aspen Ladd going up against Raquel Pennington. I need to give Aspen Ladd a clap. She made weight. It was great. She didn't look bad. So Tim, kick this one off for us.
Yeah, all week I've been on 2 islands. I've been on Mallot Island and I've been on Ladd Island with everybody that I've been talking with that I respect. So I don't know, man. I just think that the stylistic matchup here it favors Ladd in a way because of the dirty boxing that you'll see that Rocky likes to do, and also clinching is going to put basically Ladd in the position that she needs to be, that she couldn't get into against Dumont. And I think also Dumont fight was just, there is some different dynamics with how the fight went and how going up in weight. And I don't know. I just think that this is a buy low spot on Ladd. And I love the KO prop for her, because if she gets on top, she's very dangerous on top. And I saw Macy Chiasson take her down. So basically I think that's possible here. So give me plus 850 on the KO for Ladd. I also don't mind the points plus 260, but give me the KO.
Ladd KO plus 850. Brady, someone's dog is barking and they're agreeing with that play.
Right.
So, and it's not Wheezy's because he's not here. So Brady, what do you got?
Can't be me. I don't have a dog, but yeah, maybe the dog is barking. I agree with Tim. Like plus 850 Ladd by KO, and I actually agree with his statement that I think people might be like overrating the performance Ladd of last time. Like Ladd took a 2-year layoff. She came up a weight class. She looked horrible. I think she landed like 5 strikes total in like the first 2 rounds. I had to turn off that fight. It was so bad, but she looked good on the scales. That was something I was looking for. Like I was prepared to bet Pennington if Ladd was like crying on the scales like she had been like the past couple times. But no, Ladd looked good. Probably the best she's ever looked on the scales. So yeah, if Ladd gets on top of anybody, she's going to have an opportunity to get a TKO. She has a 67% knockout rate. If she gets on top of Pennington, she's going to throw ground and pound. She's going to yell and scream like a maniac. And the ref could stop the fight. So plus 850, that actually really jumped out to me. Ladd's not a bad finisher by any means. So I'll go Ladd KO plus 850. I personally don't have any money on this fight, but that line really stuck out to me as well.
All right. We got 2 on Ladd. Clint, what do you have here?
Process of elimination. I have dogs. So that was my dog that was going nuts in the background. Sorry, everybody. On this spot, you know what? I loaded up early on Raquel Pennington because Only the elite of the elite defeat Raquel Pennington. Death, taxes, and Rocky by decision, man. So she's coming into this spot confident that she can take out Aspen Ladd. I think she's got more experience. My only issue is that people who are stronger physically than Raquel Pennington are who beat her. And that's so tough to gauge from the sidelines, guys. Like, we can't tell who's stronger than who until they actually get in there. I am suspicious that Aspen Ladd is stronger than Raquel Pennington. So I put a nice big fat hammer on Rocky early in the week at minus 145, and I just hedged out a little bit today now that the line is kind of blown up to the way that it was. So I've got a very small exposure on Raquel Pennington. I'm not insanely confident after seeing how good Ladd looked on the scales. Definitely the best weigh-in I think she's ever had. So you kind of got to think she comes correct here in this spot. I'm not going to completely abandon my girl Raquel Pennington, but unfortunately, there's little to no Lambo play here on this one. So just for the sake of the show, I'll go back to the well with Rocky by sub. I'll say plus 650. She gets it done by submission. But I'll be honest, guys, like, again, it's death, taxes, and Rocky by decision. I really don't know that she's capable of finishing Ladd unless Ladd just completely blows her wad or something in this fight.
Yeah, I mean, I was staying away from this fight, to be honest, because, I just don't trust Ladd too much. But after the weigh-ins, man, it was kind of impressive, to be honest. She looked tighter. She looked much better. I'm not taking too much into account her last fight against Dorma Duman. It's at 145. She doesn't belong there. She looked terrible in that fight. I mean, would the line really be like this if she didn't look that bad up at 145? I don't think so. I took a stab at plus 155 today, but my Lambo play, which is kind of not a Lambo play, it's a Toyota Corolla or maybe a little higher. It's Ladd by decision at plus 260. I think she can land takedowns here, to be honest. Penny Kinsey had a takedown. Marion Renault at the fresh age of 40 or whatever she was had a couple of takedowns. Why can't Aspen Ladd land takedowns here? I really think she can. Now, as far as stopping, I know she has mean ground and pound, but man, Raquel Pennington's so damn tough. Face the elite of elite. It took Amanda Nunes 5 damn rounds of pounding this girl before she could take her out. I mean, I don't see it, honestly. I don't see Aspen Ladd taking this girl out. She's extremely tough, extremely durable. But, the Ladd decision plus 260 kind of piques my interest. I think, getting a couple of takedowns, winning some minutes here on top. And just taking this fight at plus 260. But I do think it is going to be a close fight. I don't think she's going to just wash out Raquel Pennington here.
You know what? It's an interesting thing is, like, this is like one of those times where it's smart to look at a fighter that has had a horrible fight like this, and they're a good fighter in your mind, or they're a good prospect, and it's a great time to like buy low the next fight. It's hard to do because it's so fresh in your mind how badly they fought, but it's like almost one of the best times to buy the next fight if you do believe in them. So I'm giving it a shot.
Yeah, I mean, the buy low here for me was like I said, I was staying away, but she looked great on the scales, man, like the best she ever has. So, I mean, in that scenario, I think she looked good. She looks like she trained hard, and she's down back at 135. And I Raquel Pennington can be taken down. So if she does implement that game plan, I mean, she should land some takedowns here. But I just want to say thank you. Before I move on, I want to say thank you to everybody in chat. There's 50 of you in here. Thank you very much. We have some awesome guests here today. So thank you for joining us. We will move on. Fight number 6. It is Anthony Hernandez going up against Josh Fremd. Brady, you can kick this one off.
Yeah, I can't wait for this fight. This is probably, a fight that's going under the radar. This is my favorite fight on the entire prelims. It's going to be an absolute banger. Like most Fluffy Hernandez fights are bangers. Hernandez has not seen the third round yet thus far in the UFC, which was 4 UFC fights and then 1 Contender Series fight against Jordan Wright. I think this fight is a good violent spot. Obviously, the fight doesn't go as like minus 750 on FanDuel, but I guess the way I see the fight playing out, I think early on it's going to be a war like most Fluffy fights are. I think Fluffy's going to try to pressure early. Fremd looked huge at the weigh-ins. The guy's 6'4". He has a ton of power, but he's coming in here on short notice. I just don't know if he's going to be able to keep up with Fluffy for 3 rounds, Fluffy's going to put on a pace that, most people can't keep up. And coming in on short notice, it just seems like a recipe for disaster. So I think early on, it's going to be very, very competitive. But I think as the fight goes on, Fluffy takes over. I think he's going to drown him, and I think he's going to get him out of there in round 2. So I like Fluffy round 2, and then Fluffy round 2 sub plus 1100.
All right. Fluffy round 2. I don't mind it, but man, I could not believe how much bigger Josh Fremd was at faceoffs. And to top it off, I don't know, Hernandez had a little bit of a lot of belly fat over there. So I don't know. Clint, what do you got?
This is a weird fight for me, man. I know I said before that the Olenik fight was the one I wanted the least exposure to. This is one that I also really don't want a whole lot of exposure to. I think kind of like our guy Timothy was talking about, you get that recency bias with these fighters. Everybody wants a piece of Fluffy after he got that big submission win his last time out. I bet on him that night, and I think that was a bit of a fluky situation. Perfect stylistic matchup, perfect game plan against the right guy. I know Fremd is coming in here on short notice, but damn, the guy is big. Fluffy has a tendency of getting a little overzealous with his shots. He could walk into something. If Fremd comes correct, he has excellent range and distance management. He likes to slow the pace of the fight down. So I actually kind of have a feeling that this thing is going over. I don't mind the over 1.5. I do think this gets into the second round because these guys got to feel each other out. And that's just the way that Fremd fights. So if he's able to control the pace of the fight, he's going to be able to dictate how long it takes. And for the Lambo play, I'll say Fremd by decision at 9-1.
All right, Fremd by decision 9-1. Look at this. Uncle Weezy. Hernandez has been hurt to the body twice in the UFC, and he lost both fights. Guess what? He had a little extra fat over there when I saw it face off. So that might be a spot for Fremd to aim. But yeah, I kind of agree with all of you. This fight I think is going to be a banger. I think it's a violent spot, most likely. The one thing I will say is in Twitter Spaces, again, I don't know if Tim remembers this, but they had Cody Brundage on, and he's from the same gym. And I asked Cody, I said, who is the hardest hitter that you faced or that you know of, as an MMA fighter? You know who he told me? Josh Fremd. He said, that guy's the hardest hitter. So guess what I did? I bet Josh Fremd by KO at plus 285. I mean, Hernandez is a tough guy, but he has been knocked out before. He has been hurt to the body. Fremd does throw to the body sometimes. So, it's a short notice fight, which is kind of like, I don't know how he's going to, come out here, because it is short notice. But Fremd usually has good cardio for the most part. He is training at altitude. So, Fremd KO plus 285. It's not a Lambo play, but it's a little bit under. Tim, what do you got?
Yeah, you know what? I'm with Brady on this one. I love the sub round 2 at 11-1, but I also think it's possible that he subs him the end of the first round. So I'm gonna do both sub 1-2 at plus 240, which is it's a little scooter. And I'll go full Lambo with him on the sub 2 at 11-1 as well. Love both those plays.
Do you guys think he proactively grapples here?
Yeah.
It's gonna be tough early on. He's huge.
Yeah, that's the thing. When I saw these two guys, like, what in the world? I never thought he was going to be that much bigger than him. But my God, he looked monstrous compared to him. But yeah, I do favor Hernandez's ground game for sure over Fremd's, but it's going to be a tough task to get him to the ground. Moving on. Fight number 7. It is Ian Garry going up against Darian Weeks. Clint, you can kick this one off.
Man, I actually like this one. This is one that it's going to end up in a Hail Mary parlay of mine or something like that. Guys, I think that Ian Garry is sneaky live for a submission at 8-1. This guy has a nasty set of jiu-jitsu skills on him. We just never see it. He likes to work with his hands so much. So what do you need to get a hold of somebody and use that jiu-jitsu credential that you never showed off before? You need somebody tough. You need somebody who you're not going to put down with one shot. Well, I think we got someone who does that. What else helps? Someone who grapples, someone who likes to wrestle and stick their neck out there. We got someone like that too. I think we got a club and sub situation on our hands. Ian Garry pieces him up on the feet, shoots for a panic takedown, and that's when that guillotine sinks in. Maybe the rear naked choke in a scramble situation. Ian Garry by sub 8-1, baby. Let's go.
Love the breakdown. Love the play. I have the same exact play.
Oh, yeah.
I have it specifically where I saw something with Darian Weeks. So Darian Weeks, when he goes for takedowns early, he keeps his head on the outside. He's pretty cognizant of it. When Darian Weeks starts getting tired, guess where his head goes? Right in the middle. And guess what Ian Garry loves to do when you put your head in there? The anaconda, man. He had it deep 2 different times against Grant, who's a better grappler than or submission grappler, defensively than Weeks is. And man, he had it so damn deep, and somehow he managed to get out. But honestly, I think he's gonna get it here. I think Darian Weeks keeping his head on the outside when he's not tired is good. It's smart. He's a wrestler, but once he gets tired, he seems to get sloppy with his takedowns, and I think that's when Ian Garry can actually sink in one of those things and just get him out of there. So Ian Garry submission plus 800. Tim is shaking his head. Tim is doing all kinds of stuff over there. Okay, tell us what you like, Tim.
Yeah, you know what, guys? Just rewind what Clint said and rewind what Mike said, and that's my pick right there. They hit everything I wanted to say. No question about it.
Well, most of it was done by Clint, so we're gonna
it's something. It's weird. It's like I've had this happen a few times recently where I see the prop come out on DK and I'm like, oh man, that's awesome. And I hit it. And then FanDuel gives me the line. And I'm like, I have to add, this is awesome. Like FanDuel gave me 8.5 after I got 8 on DK. So I was like, all right, yeah, let's do this. Let's ride. Totally agree with you guys.
Yeah, honestly, I just the way he sticks his head in there with that, this guy can get the darts on him. I honestly think he can get it. So, Brady, what do you got?
Yeah, so all three of you guys on the sub, that's very interesting. And I get it because I think there's going to be a lot of grappling here. I think Weeks is going to try to take down Garry. I think that sub's a really sneaky look because Garry only has 1 sub in his career. It could be 2 here. But yeah, I think the line just in general is kind of nuts here. I see Garry like minus 400 on some books. I think this is going to be a very competitive fight. Of course, you got to favor Garry, but Darian Weeks, he's no bum by any means. I really do like his striking. He has great power, solid wrestling. The reason why I am picking Garry, like you said, I think, Gary's going to have success in terms of stuffing the takedowns. I think he's going to have the grappling success. I think he's a much better grappler, but in terms of the minute winning, I feel like it's going to be a really close fight if it doesn't finish. If this goes to decision, I can see Weeks definitely having his moments. Ian Garry's striking defense is very bad. I had a big bet on Garry in his last fight against Williams, and the one thing I did not like about Garry, I liked everything else. The one thing was the striking defense, and I didn't think it would be like a huge issue, but man, Jordan Williams was just tagging him up. I felt so uncomfortable with that big bet. Luckily, he finished him, but if Weeks does not get knocked out, which he's never been knocked out in his career, if he does not get submitted, which he's never been submitted in his career, including amateurs, if this goes to decision, I feel like it's going to be very close, actually. So I kind of like the Weeks by decision plus 850. And then shout out to Lou Betch. He posted on Twitter today, Weeks by split decision, like plus 22 to 1, something like that. So 28 to 1. Yeah. I think those are live. I think if this goes to decision, it's going to be very close.
Yeah. I mean, you made a great point that I didn't mention. Ian Garry backing up while someone's striking with his hands fucking by his hips is just a terrible. I mean, he does this constantly. I mean, even in the regional scenes, even in Cage Warriors, he's constantly doing that. It's like, I mean, it's not very hard to keep your hands up when you're fucking backpedaling, but this guy just decides to put his hands down and backpedal and just eat punches. It is a terrible look, and I do agree with you. I think Darren Weeks, the guy has 18 amateur fights. Not like this guy is, I know he only has, 7 professional fights, but this guy has a ton of amateur experience. So it's not like he's some bum like Brady mentioned. But one thing I will mention that I didn't mention, which I should have, Ian Garry by submission round 2 is 2,800. Ian Garry by submission round 3 is 4,600, guys.
Where's that?
FanDuel.
That's crazy.
FanDuel. I'm just going to put that out there. Because I think if it happens, I think it happens later because just what I see from Weeks as he tires, he seems to make some mistakes. But we will move on. It is fight number 8. It is Vince Pichel going up against Mark Madsen. I can kick this one off. And for me here, if Tajik was in the chat, he would love this because I have a draw here at plus 6,600. And my reasoning is, Mark Madsen starts off pretty fast. I think he's going to land takedowns here. Pichel gets taken down. The one thing I like about Pichel is he doesn't settle. He makes you work. He gets up. But I think early, honestly, I think this is a spot where, Madsen should win the first round. Round 2, I could see him having a little more, getting slowed down a little, but I do still think he's going to land maybe a takedown or 2 in round 2. But round 3 is where it gets hairy. I mean, if he starts pushing for takedowns early and, he's landing them, but Vince Pichel does what he does and constantly gets up and makes you work, he's going to get tired. And we've seen Madsen tired. And, as he tires, Vince Pichel seems to pick it up in round 3. The one thing I will say is he's not a huge finisher. So, historically, the guy just goes to decision so much. But I could honestly see him just completely, pummeling Mark Madsen in round 3. And I want to give credit to Mark Madsen. To be honest, the guy is tough. I mean, he ate some, flush knees from Austin Hubbard in that fight and didn't go out. He's tough. He has a chin on himself, but he gets extremely tired. And I just think I see a scenario where he wins the first 2 rounds, gets tired, and Vince Pichel just brings the hell in round 3 and 10-8s him in round 3, and we get a draw at plus 6,600. So, Tim, what do you got?
Yeah, I love that call. I'm actually going to tail that for a little bit because that kind of correlates with what I think might happen as well, which is the round 3 finish for Pichel. I think KO is 20-1 and the sub is 50-1. So, yeah, give me that all day.
All right, we got Pichel round 3.
From hell. Let's get it.
From hell. Brady, what do you got?
It's funny. So I have 3 Lambo plays for this fight, and you guys mentioned 2 of them. And I mean, the draw, there's got to be some value on that, right? I can see it so clearly. Madsen wins the first round easily. He wins the second round. And then the third round comes around. We saw how he looked against Hubbard. Hubbard was teeing off on the guy. Hubbard landed a huge knee. I don't know how Madsen ate it, but he landed it. I thought Hubbard was going to finish him at some point. I think, Pichel's very live to get that 10-8 in the third round. I think Pichel's very live to finish in the third round. So I like Pichel 16-1 third round. I like the draw 66-1. And I also like the fight to end by split decision plus 450. I do personally think this goes to decision. I think it's very close. I think the judges don't know what the hell they're looking at. Are they going to favor the wrestling of Madsen? Are they going to favor the striking of Pichel? Who knows? The judges don't even know. So I think split decision at plus 450 is something I'm actually really considering putting some money on.
Awesome. So we're all in agreement, basically. Clint seems to be nodding his head. What do you got for us, Clint?
I completely agree with you guys. I think you broke it down beautifully. Honestly, we're all going to be shocked if this fight goes any other way than what you guys have broke down. Madsen's going to win round 1 wrestling. Pichel's going to try and work his way in round 2. That's going to be the round that swings this whole thing. And then Pichel is going to win round 3. It's a matter of whether or not he can get him out of there. If Vince comes out and flatlines him in round 1, all of our jaws are just going to hit the floor because, Madsen's going to out wrestle him in round 1. That's just, it's written. That's how it's going to go. So, man, I'm going to say, to be just a little bit different, I'll go Vince Pichel by KO plus 450. That way, just in case he starts chopping those legs a little early, maybe the round 2 is live. I do think it's round 3 myself. I will probably actually bet a round 3 sprinkle for this one just for funsies. But to be a little bit different, I'll change it up. Let's go knockout plus 450.
Awesome. Knockout Vince Pichel plus 450. I think I'm going to play that round 3 prop because it's definitely live because I do think he is going to be pounding on Madsen in round 3. Moving on, it is fight number 9. It is Mackenzie Dern going up against Tecia Torres. Tim, what do you got here for us?
Yeah, this is another one of those fights where if it doesn't go the way that we think and it's going to drive me crazy. If Torres doesn't win by points or Dern doesn't win by sub, I think people are going to lose a lot of money. I'm on man, it's such a flip. It's such a coin flip. I just tend to think that it's not Dern's wrestling ability that's going to get the fight to the ground. It's Torres's inability to keep fights from the ground that's going to get the fight to the ground. And, Dern's going to sub her once she gets there. I absolutely cannot believe she didn't sub Marina. I just couldn't. I lost a ton of money on that one. I had Marina by KO and Dern by sub and just lost the house. But I think that she's going to sub her. I think she'll be more aggressive once she gets on top and just finishes her first time.
Yeah, I mean, I heard her interview. She kind of said she was like hesitant between throwing ground strikes or going for submissions when she had Marina down. So, Brady, what do you got here?
Yeah, I mean, I have no money on this fight, and it's one of those fights where I'm so glad I don't. Like Tim said, flip a coin 50-50. It's Dern by sub, which is only plus 195 at this point. It was better earlier in the week, and then it's Torres by decision at plus 140. Those are not Lambo plays. I cannot get that out, so I got to get a little weird, and I'm not going to pass. I want to pass. I'm going to go Torres by KO plus 1,000. Anything can happen. Maybe a doctor stoppage, cut stoppage, something like that. I think on the feet, Dern is going to get hit a lot. The only problem is Torres does not have power. But I guess the one thing, besides picking the obvious Dern sub or the obvious Torres decision, give me Torres KO 10-1. Why not?
All right. Torres KO 10-1. Not a bad look. Clint, what do you got?
I'm right there with Brady on the way this thing plays out. And it's tough to really give out a Lambo play on this fight because I think it's super binary. I think it's Dern by sub or it's Torres by decision. Like, I think those are kind of the only two outcomes. So for the sake of the show, I've got a bet on Tecia Torres. I kind of like that side, but we got to go Lambo play. I'll say Dern round 1 at plus 500 because I think that's her best chance to win this thing by sub early when they're dry. Climb that little tree that is Tecia Torres, jump on her back, backpack her, and tap her early. I'm not betting it, guys. It's just a pick for the show on this one. I like Tecia Torres by decision for like a real bet, but it's tough.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I have Dern submission round 1 plus 500. All of her subs have came in round 1. I think she needs to be dry, get her down early. I think she needs to, she has to know what she has to do here. I mean, she has to take this fight to the ground. I think Tecia will give her some opportunity, especially because she kicks a lot. I mean, catch one of those kicks, get her down. I mean, Ticia's been, taken down a ton of times. I do have an actual bet on Mackenzie Dern by submission. I got it earlier at plus 250, but yeah, I mean, that first round submission at plus 500, I'm going to go with that. It's honestly not a play that I love, but, I'm giving it out for the show because I do think Mackenzie Dern is live for a submission here. And
isn't it kind of weird, though, because it's like Brady said with Olenik, it's the plus 370 when you said it, that line, and then plus 500 for Dern round 1. It's like, yeah, it's not juicy, but it's like, it's actually a good line because if you look at the odds of when they win fight, it's like if you had like a Abdul Razak Hassan at like KO1, you're not getting if you get plus 500, you're guarantee betting it, right? Like those aren't terrible lines at plus 370 for what is Olenik's outcome and what is Dern's outcome as well. So, yeah, I mean, I actually I disagree. Sorry, babe, with all due respect. Like I don't see her laying on her and without subbing her like she did Marina. If she's getting on top, she's finishing. And she does. Two takedowns. The crazy thing, I think Weezy said this week on the show, was that she's got 4 subs and she's got 3 takedowns, and one of them was against Marina, and she didn't get a sub in that one. So she's got 4 subs and 2 takedowns. So she doesn't even need to take you down to get you subbed. So yeah, I'm on that side.
Yeah, I mean, I put that up there to kind of say, like, if she wins a decision, I'm gonna be totally shocked because that means this fight's been on the ground. She wins rounds with it on the ground, and somehow, she doesn't sub Torres. Because if this fight's on the feet, she's not winning a decision. I'll tell you that right now. But if it gets to the ground, like, is Tecia Torres going to survive, like, 5 minutes, let's say, of top time between, you know, the first and second round or the first and third, whatever rounds she's on top, I highly doubt it. And I don't think that's going to happen, but it's MMA and you never know. Anything can happen. But with that being said, we will move on. It is fight number 10. It is Gilbert Burns going up against Khamzat Chimaev. Kick this one off, Brady. What do you got here?
Yeah, this is my favorite fight on the card. I cannot wait for this one. Chimaev, looking forward to see if he can pass this step up in competition, going from guys like John Phillips, Leach, you know, guys like that, Reese McKee, to a guy like Gilbert Burns. And, you know, you take a look at the line, you know, it does look very, very wide, but I mean, stylistically, it just seems like a very tough matchup for Gilbert Burns. I know there's some question marks about Chimaev and all that, but, you know, how does Burns win this fight? Is he going to knock out Chimaev on the feet? I don't really think so. He's going to take down Chimaev? I don't really think so. He's going to sub Chimaev from his back? I don't really think so. I think Chimaev rolls here. I think he honestly knocks him out in the first round. That is not good enough for a Lambo play, but what is good enough is a round 2 KO. I think Chimaev knocks out Gilbert Burns at some point. I think it's round 1. I think round 2 is on the table if it does get there. So round 2 KO plus 500. I think he finishes Burns. I think it could be on the feet. I think it could be ground and pound as well.
All right, round 2 KO. Clint, what do you got?
I couldn't agree with Brady more. I think this is a KO spot. We've seen Khamzat, what he does on the ground is he makes you kind of pick your poison. He will pound you into oblivion, and then once you give up a position where he thinks he can squeeze in under your neck, he'll take that sub. Burns ain't getting submitted by anybody, so he's going to take that punishment. I'm thinking referee stoppage, or if they both decide to forego the grappling because that's where they're both strong, we get a standing matchup, and I think Burns probably suffers a similar fate to what Gerald Meerschaert did. And I think this fight actually does have a decent shot at getting into round 2 because this is the biggest step up in competition we've ever seen from somebody like Khamzat. I think that Burns is more skilled than somebody like the Leech. So I think he can last a little bit longer. But once that gas tank starts to kind of dip down towards empty, that's when Khamzat's going to be able to just start pounding. So yeah, I actually kind of like the round 2 KO.
Yeah, I mean, I love this guy. Khamzat, man. I mean, I think he's answered questions with the way that he's just destroyed guys. It's not about, you know, when people say I mean, last time against Jing Ling Lee, you know, everybody's like, oh, it's huge, big step up. You know, we don't know about this guy. And he just goes in there and just absolutely demolishes him. And, you know, after that, it's like, oh, well, he hasn't fought anybody. But wait, you know, this guy Lee has fought really good guys in the UFC, and you know, no one has dominated him like that. Like he absolutely, you know, I mean, he's talking to Dana White while he's throwing this guy around. Like, I mean, it's just funny to me because, I mean, he has shown a lot to me. I mean, the win that he had in the regionals against Aliskerov is a big win to me because Aliskerov is a really good fighter, even though he's not in the UFC. To me, that doesn't really mean anything because, you know, there are some fighters out there that are UFC caliber fighters that are not in the UFC. And this guy, I'm telling you, is a fighter that should be in the UFC. He's a really good fighter, very good grappler. I mean, Chimaev had a hard time. He could not get this guy to the ground before he knocked him out. So for me here, I think Chimaev is just going to smash Burns. Round 1 KO, I can't, with, you know, good faith, give any other round because, you know, Burns is a small 170-pounder. Chimaev is a monster 170-pounder. You know, it's by far going to be a strength match here where Chimaev is just going to do whatever he wants with Burns, to be honest, as far as taking him down. And then the ground and pound is just nasty, man. This guy is very nasty on top. It's just different. And I think when Burns feels it, he's going to get hurt on the ground, and I think he's going to eventually stop him. Tim, what do you got?
Yep. Just rewind it. KO round 1, all you guys. Yep. I have a big bet on the under 1.5 on this fight at plus 110. Bet it huge. Yeah, I mean, if you're on, maybe we should say, like, if you're on Burns, like, what prop would you guys be on if you're on Burns? I'd be on the sub at plus 1,400. Like, how do you think he wins?
It's got to be sub.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think he's knocking Chimaev out. It's got to be sub, and it's going to be very hard to get it. But yeah, I mean, if you're going to play Burns, sub is probably the way. The thing with Burns is like everybody's kind of questioning Chimaev's cardio, but I mean, Burns does not have good cardio himself. Like is he going to outlast Chimaev if Chimaev gets tired? I don't think so. I think he's going to be just as tired as he is. So I mean, from all accounts, like Chimaev's supposed to have some like insane gas tank, but that's also in sparring and training and all that. But the guy does seem like a madman. The guy is, I think, is the truth. It's a matter of time before this guy wins a belt, whether it be at 170, at 185, or even both at 170 and 185, because it can happen, to be honest. But moving on. Fight number 11. It's the co-main event. It is Aljamain Sterling going up against Petr Yan. Clint, do us some service here and give us a Lambo play.
I'll get you guys started with a Lambo play. I don't even need a method of victory for this Lambo play because Aljamain Sterling is keeping that belt, folks. Aljo, and still I snagged him at plus 400 earlier today, and it's really weird, guys, because all of a sudden he's back down to 375 and 330 everywhere. So he pokes up at 400, and that's when people decide that's a little bit too much for this fight. This fight is insanity, guys, because if you remember that first fight, they lined it a pick'em. A pick'em! They think this fight is close. They think it's evenly matched. And Aljo had maybe one of the worst nights we have ever seen. So because of that recency bias, you can make Petr Yan the favorite. That's fine. Minus 175? Okay. Minus 200? Okay. Minus 250? Like, this is still a close fight, guys. And on top of that, Aljamain Sterling called up Kamaru Usman, and he goes, bro, how do I get some of those cool little bumps on my abs like you have? He got a new doctor for this fight, and he's in the best shape you have ever seen, and that is saying something for Aljamain Sterling. So I can just go straight up money line at plus 400. I have bet this myself already. If you want just that extra little bit of spice, guys, Aljamain Sterling by split decision is 28-1, and I got a little taste of that myself.
Well, you hit my play right on the head.
Oof.
I do agree with a lot of your points. I mean, this line, I think is a little. There's recency bias here. I mean, I do think Yan was winning that fight. I do think Yan was on the verge of probably stopping Aljamain prior to the knee. But again, Aljamain, I think, fought a really dumb fight, threw a ton of, like, all these stupid punches, kicks, and spinning stuff. And it's like, I guess that won him round 2. And I do think, to be honest, even round 1, he might have won it if he didn't get dropped, right? So it would have probably been 2-0 going into round 3. I do think Yan was taken over at round 3. I do think Yan is that type of fighter where he kind of like makes reads, just kind of gets reads, and he's a slow starter. I mean, we know he's a slow starter. He loses round 1 to a bunch of guys. But like, this line, minus 500 and 460 and 470, I do think is a little too wide. Because they're kind of, treating Aljamain like he's a bum, which we know clearly he's not a bum. He has a lot of skills. From all accounts, he's extremely strong when he gets people to the ground, especially with his rear naked choke. But I do think Yan is extremely talented. I do think Yan is special. I do think Yan at the end of the day probably wins this fight. But, I mean, this split decision line is plus 2,800 for Aljamain Sterling. It's an eye-opener to me because I do think if this fight, gets the decision, it's going to be something like 3-2 because of the way Yan fights, right? The guy gives up the round 1 a huge majority of the time and possibly round 2 because we saw Aljamain win round 2 last time too. So, giving up the first 2 rounds, and who knows what happens in the next 3. I do favor Yan in the later rounds, but plus 2,800 by split decision for Aljamain Sterling, I have to take a poke. I mean, it's a monster line, and I do think that, you know, a majority of the time this is a split decision. Yeah, Tim, what do you got?
Yeah, I mean that's a fantastic line. I've used that line as a hedge. I have a lot on yen and some parlays with things money line wise. I've used them kind of in different ways with the big three, obviously. So I love that hedge. I mean, it makes no sense. It's kind of like JoJo Wood having a 16-1 split decision. It's like she's going to win split decisions. That's how she wins. Like I don't see him dominating a fight against Jan and winning like KO or subbing him or anything like that. This is his win condition. So it's 28-1 with his win condition is just beautiful. I have bet it, like I said, as a hedge, but not huge. I think like 0.2 units, something like that. So I'm on the Jan side though, like I said, and I'm on the Jan KO 3-5 is plus 340 on FanDuel. Don't mind that. Think that as the fight gets going, I think it's more 4 or 5, but didn't want to get too greedy with it. So rounds 3-5 plus 340 KO.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at round 4, round 5, you know, for Jan, and these books are on it, man. There's some bad lines for round 4. I mean, usually these round 4, round 5 lines are minimum in the 2000s. And you got, Jan round 4 like 1200 over here. It's like, what the heck is going on? And in some books, they have it at 700 in round 4. It's like crazy. That's a round 1 or round 2 line, not round 4. So it's like, yeah, I mean, I couldn't play them. They're way too low. So Brady, what do you got here?
Yeah, that's actually what I went with, and that's how I kind of see the fight going. I totally agree with Clint. Like, this line is insane. Like, if you want to bet Jan, why bet him at minus 500 when you can just wait till he loses the first round and get a better price on him? But yeah, going back and watching the first fight, the first round was very close. I thought Sterling was winning up until he got dropped. I mean, it was still a very close round even with that. The second round was very, very close as well. Sterling outlanded Jan. But yeah, as we saw the fight, as the fight went on, Jan started to take over. He started to mix in takedowns. He started to start landing more volume, and kind of how like Jan does. He's a slow starter, but he gets going. So I think early on it's going to be very competitive. I'm actually really looking forward to this fight from a live betting standpoint because there's no way I would touch anywhere near minus 500 for Jan. But if I can get him, at a better price, round 2, round 3, I'll look at that. But I think rounds 1, 2, 3 can be very competitive. But I think Jan takes over later the fight goes. I took Jan KO round 4 at plus 1150, Jan KO round 5 plus 1400. Like you said, Narco, they're all over it. Not great prices, but that's kind of how I see the fight going. I think Jan gets them out of there late.
Yeah, they're on us, man. They're on us. They're watching this show. They're doing something here. I don't understand why this damn line is so damn low, but yeah, I mean, plus 1100, plus 1400. I think that's about as best as you can get because they're pretty sharp there. But yeah, before I move on to the main event, I want to thank 58 viewers now. Thank you very much. I think that's the most I've ever had. I also want to give a shout out to my 2 guests. Thank you very much, Clint, Brady, for coming on and making this show a home run. Thank you, as always, to my co-hosts also and everybody in chat. And you guys, please do me a favor. Hit that like, subscribe to my channel, tell your friends, tell your family members. I'm at like 520 subscribers. I need to get to that 1K mark by the end of the year. Damn it. I work hard for you guys. Please work hard for me. But with that being said, we will move on to the main event. The main event, it is Alexander Volkanovski going up against the Korean zombie, Chan Sung Jung. And I can kick this one off here. This is one where, again, the round 4, round 5 props on Volkanovski here straight up are kind of low, but I am going to give the KO round 4, KO round 5 for Volkanovski at plus 1800 and plus 2500. I just think this guy is a complete fighter. This guy does it all. Very cerebral in the ring, which is a very important aspect of his. I mean, this guy just processes, knows what he's doing, combination in bunches, leg kicks when you don't expect them. I mean, everything he does is something that you won't expect. And that's why he catches all these guys off guard. That's why he keeps on winning. That's why beating Max Holloway 2 different times is not an easy task because Max Holloway is one of the best fighters in the world. I mean, this guy is reeling off win after win, and now they're giving him a guy in Korean Zombie who, in his own right, is a good striker, has a ton of power, is a good grappler, and I can give him all of that. But this is just, a huge step up for him. I mean, Alexander Volkanovski, I think, wins in the stand-up. I think Alexander Volkanovski wins when he wants to take this to the ground. If you're going to play Korean Zombie, please take him by KO because he is not going to win a decision here. And his KO line is absolutely astronomical. It's plus 1,200. That's his win condition, guys. He is not winning a decision. He is not going to sub Alexander Volkanovski because, the one I have to mention this, that guillotine that he was in with the legs wrapped against Brian Ortega was insanity. How does he get out of that thing? And if he doesn't get subbed there, this guy's not getting subbed by nobody. That's just my opinion now. I don't think anybody's going to be able to sub this guy. But we have seen him hurt, right? He's been rocked a couple of times. He has great recovery. But Chan Sung Sung hits hard. So if you're going to take him, that plus 1,200 KO is not bad. But for me, I'm going to give the Volk KO round 4 plus 1,800 and the Volk KO round 5 plus 2,500. Tim, what do you got?
A lot of this echo the same things that you just said. If you're on Zombie, do KO 100%. I'm not. I'm on Volkanovski KO 3 through 5 plus 500. I think it's possible he gets him out even in round 3. He's just so good, and he's got him covered. I think on the feet. Could he get hit? Yeah, but he also seems to be talking like he wants to just murder him. So I'm all about it.
Yeah, I mean,
the Zombie. I'm sorry. The Zombie look against Ortega, getting outstruck by Ortega, was just like a really, really, really bad look. Like, I'm not saying that that's how he always fights and that's where he's at, but just seems like just a big decline striking wise.
And guess what? He's been finished in round 4 and round 5. Just saying. I mean, one of them was a crazy spinning elbow from Yair Rodriguez, but he's been finished twice, once in round 4, once in round 5. Brady, what do you got?
Yeah, Narc, we have the exact same 2 plays I have down the Volk KO round 4 plus 1,800, Volk KO round 5 plus 2,500. That's very juicy there. And like you just mentioned, Zombie, he's been knocked out twice in the UFC, once in round 4, once in round 5. I like violence in this fight in general, though. I have a bet on the fight ends in a KO because, like you said, it covers both sides. If Zombie wins, it's by KO. If Volkanovski wins, it's probably by KO. Probably maybe decision, but I think the KO is very live there. I like the fight doesn't go, but yeah, I think Volk's live for these 3, 4, 5 knockouts, and those 4 and 5s are very juicy there.
Yeah, I mean, fight doesn't go to decision was plus 120.
Yeah.
I played that. I don't understand why it's a plus number, but I guess they look at Volkanovski and he goes to decision a lot, but man, I mean, some of those fights should be ended. Many of them should have ended, but whatever. Clint, what do you got?
Yeah, man, I still can't believe that I didn't cash my fight doesn't go the distance on that Ortega fight. Like, just speechless that fight didn't get ended.
That is a tough one, definitely.
But hey, that's what happens, right? When you're on a skid, that's what happens. What I'm gonna go Lambo. I'll go ahead and be a little different from everybody else on this one. I'll bite. I'll take Chan Sung Jung by knockout. I think that the man has one path to victory and one path to victory only. We have seen Volkanovski get rocked and hurt and clipped before. No one's quite been able to put him away. I will trust in our Lord and Savior, Henry Cejudo, at Fight Ready to have the Zombie ready to go here for this one. Plus, Volkanovski's head. Have you guys seen the thing? You can't miss it. It's huge. So if Zombie's ever going to hit the perfect target, he's got it on Saturday. I do have a real bet on fight doesn't go the distance. One of my favorite bets on the card. I'm going right back to the well and praying. I just think this fight's going to be a barn burner. Like, Zombie's got to get the knockout or he's going to get ended by Volkanovski via pace and leg kicks. So I think it's probably Zombie early if he does get it done. And at 10-1, when it's the one way the guy can win, I don't see any problem with sprinkling something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's 12-1 in some spots. It's like insanity. I like your bet. I'm going to take a poke at it because I have, some Alexander Volkanovski plays and Violence plays. So I do think it is live. If you're going to play, if you even think of playing Korean Zombie here, play the KO. Do yourself a favor. He's not winning a decision here. There is no way in hell he's winning a decision here. So, yeah. But with that being said, we have 3 things that are guaranteed in life, guys. It's death, taxes, and Mushroom asking for Lambo Parlays. This is a given. He's in the house. Tim, you can kick off the Lambo Parlay that you have. Please give it to us.
Man, I'm trying to think. Like I almost want to ask Mushroom if he wants a 300 to 1, 100 to 1, or like a 30 to 1. Like what do you want here, Mushroom? We want to go big, or we want to go like conservative 30 to 1s, or what are we doing? I'm gonna go big. I'm gonna go really big. Actually,
all right, go big.
I'm gonna give a 310 to 1. All right, we're gonna go Hernandez by sub, Mallot inside the distance, Chimaev KO round 1 or 2, Yan KO 3 through 5, Volkanovski KO 3 through 5 is 310 to 1.
All right. Just a little 310 to 1 there. Brady, what do you got?
Yeah, I actually really like this one. So give me Chimaev KO round 1 plus 250, parlayed with Vince from Hell Pichel submission round 3 plus 5,000 plus 17,750.
Jesus Christ, what is going on here, guys? These guys want to buy a yacht, not a Lambo. Clint, what do you got here for your Lambo parlay?
I'm going to go with the old submission special, guys. I like to tie together a couple of sub props and try and see if these hit. Now, if you're going to go conservative, one that might actually get you there, we'll go with a 2-legger. Alexei Olenik by sub, Ian Garry by sub. That is plus 2150. And if you're feeling just a little frisky, if you want a couple free months on your OnlyFans subscription, throw K Hansen by sub in there. That brings it to plus 12,275. So 12,275 on the plus odds there if you want to put a 3-legger sub prop in.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, for me, it's going to be Vanderaa round 3 decision at plus 330. It's going to be the Dern submission at plus 225. Kamzat KO1 at plus 225. And Garry submission at plus 800. That thing will rock you 407 to 1, guys. So $100 will win you 40,776. Yeah, that will wrap it up. Nick has a Mallot inside plus 100, Hernandez 125, Chimaev. Not bad at plus 1660. Not bad, Nick. Yeah, guys. I just want to thank the chat first off. Thank you very much. Without you guys, we wouldn't be here doing these shows. I want to thank my co-host Tim, as always. Thank you for being here, and both of my great guests, Clint and Brady. But with that being said, let me kick it off to Tim. Tell us where they can find you and what you have going on.
Yeah, always here with you. Love the show so much. Thanks, guys, Brady, Clint, for joining us today. It's been awesome. Also do spaces with Sean Orr and Tajik on Wednesdays evenings, and Saturday we're going to do one tomorrow at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. We'll do the prelims this time. We did the main card on Wednesdays. So.
Any special guests tomorrow?
You know what? It's not going to be tomorrow. I think it's going to be next Wednesday.
All right. Yeah.
Brady, tell them where they can find you. Tell us about the best bets tomorrow that I will be on with you. And tell us what else you have going on.
Yeah, can't wait to talk some draws tomorrow on Best Bets. You can follow me on my YouTube channel, DFS by the Numbers. We'll be going live for Best Bet 1 hour prior to the prelims. You can follow me on Pub Sports Radio. Me and Uncle Weezy are on there on Sundays and on Wednesdays as well. And then on the MMA Engine, me and Weezy just did a brand new show called Probability, where we're taking the data and we're looking for value on these lines for fight goes and doesn't go, all that good stuff. So you can find me a lot of places. But yeah, Narco, thanks for having me on. I'm down to come on anytime. One of my favorite shows of the week. It's so much fun doing this, and hopefully get a Lambo.
Thank you, Brady. I appreciate you. Please, guys, go follow him. Go to his YouTube. I'm pretty sure you're already there. Guy puts out a ton of content, a ton of great content. And yeah, thank you. But Clint, please tell them where they can find you, what you have going on. The Mr. Tinfoil Hat Man is going to come through this week. I have a feeling when he put that tinfoil hat on, I was very scared. I'm like, man, I hope we're on the same bet here. But Clint, tell him anything you want, sir.
Man, I might need to get a new tinfoil hat. This one's like running out of juice. It hasn't been working lately. You guys can find me over at Die Hard MMA Pod. The Die Hard MMA podcast is hosted on Pub Sports Radio as well. We be pubbing. And that's pretty much it, man. You can find me over there. I'm super active on Twitter and Instagram. So come hang out, talk fights with me, and hopefully let's make some money this weekend. Thank you guys for having us on the show.
Awesome, Clint. Thank you for being here. I appreciate both of your time. It's a great show. Had a lot of fun. And guys, let's cash some tickets tomorrow. Take care.